Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis call, and this is for trading on January 24, 2018. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we will start off by taking a look at the Forex factory calendar here. In terms of what happened here, Bank of Japan, they kept their interest rate monetary policy stable. They didn't really change anything. So Japanese yen, initially we saw that it weakened because they are still following the loose monetary policy. But after that, after the initial sort of the shock went through, it kind of realigned back to the way things were. So not a huge impact there. Other than that, we had the ZEW economic sentiment number, which came in positive and gave euro a boost. And overall, US dollars just had a bad day. It was weaker. So coming up tomorrow, we have a lot more data coming out than usual. So to start things off with, we have PMI manufacturing numbers. And actually, we start off with French and then German and then overall PMI numbers. So these numbers are the leading indicators. They lead to retail sales numbers later. So these are important numbers to pay attention to. Another thing is we have World Economic Forum annual meetings as well. So the impact that normally this has is essentially that there are comments that come out. So today we heard comments from EU. So these are basically unexpected comments, and based on what the comment is, that can shake the market. So there's usually a quick reaction to it as soon as the comment comes out. So that's something to keep in mind. So we'll keep our ears on the audio feed to make sure we catch them as they come in. I think in the morning there, we just have to be careful just because there is a bunch of data coming out. So we'll have to keep that in mind. And then we have average earnings index and unemployment numbers for British pound. So of course, these numbers will be very important because and now everybody's looking at the Bank of England to see what their stance will be in terms of interest rate and monetary policy now that British pound is actually recovering. So those will be important. And then we have the same PMI numbers from the US as well as home sales numbers. So those will be important. Crude oil inventories are important for the US and the Canadian dollar, actually, because the Canadian dollar has enjoyed strength recently, and so have the other commodity currencies because the oil has been strong and the metals have done well. So this will have an impact on Canadian dollar. CPI numbers, this is the inflation number, which is one of the key numbers that the bank takes a look at, the Reserve Bank. So this number will be important for New Zealand dollar as well. So that's our from our fundamentals perspective. Let's go take a look at our charts here. In here, let's start with euro here. So euro we had a bullish day for euro, pushed up. Now we are back into this resistance area. So this is the one that we were looking at yesterday as well. So right now it's in a range. So price has been going sideways for a while. So now we need to see where it's going to go. So it is pushing higher. So if you take a look at this right here, it is pushing higher. So two different things that can happen. One is one of these, it breaks down, comes back towards the bottom of the range. So right now we are looking at a range bound market. The other thing is it breaks out of the range, pulls back, and then we can look at a long entry over there. So overall, this looks bullish. But do keep in mind we're at the top of the range, and the general principle of the range-bound market is that price goes to the high and then drops towards the middle of the range. So that's the only thing we'll have to keep in mind. But other than that, the daily close is certainly positive. But like I said, this is important resistance, so we'll have to keep that in mind. So I'm going to treat this as a range-bound market. So as such, I'm looking for price to go to 123.20 level, and then as long as it stays below that, I'm going to look for it to bounce back towards the middle of the range again. Pound here, very long here, bullish for the time being here. The close for the day was surprisingly neutral. So this is bullish to neutral because we did close high. We had a higher high that was made and a higher low. So overall, that bullishness is still intact. But we also got pins on both sides that shows uncertainty in the market. And also to keep in mind, pound has traveled a long distance from where it was. And if we take a look at it, it's back into filling this inefficiency at this point. So it has, for the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, it has been quite bullish. And for us, what that means is that we could come into an area of pullbacks now, because all these people who have been long here may want to take their profits. So we need to keep that in mind. But for now, because it is bullish, so bullish to neutral, so I'm looking for a price to move up higher. So it could go into this 1.4060 level. But if it doesn't break the high, if it cannot break yesterday's high, or today's high, I should say, so if it does not break this high, it stays below it, then we could see it come back into 1.3930 area, or even lower into 1.3920 area. So that will be the key to see how the price will react at that high. And in terms of our pivots here, we could see a bounce here, and it could go and test the high again. So we'll just have to see how the price reacts at that high. So as long as it stays below it, we'll look for a pullback. But once it breaks, we're looking for price to move up higher, and the target would be 1.4060 level. Aussie here, Aussie had a bearish day. So we have had a bearish candle close now. So in this case, we do see a big rejection because US dollar wasn't particularly strong. We did see a big drop, and then it got pushed back up. So right now, the bias is to the downside. So I'm looking for price to give that another go, potentially 0.7950-ish level. So looking for price to drop there. So in terms of our 1 hour chart, as we can see, price has been making lower highs. So at this point, I'm looking for price to maybe come back down and test the bottom 79.50 level once again. So that will be my target to the downside. New Zealand dollar on the other hand actually broke through and it closed up higher. So we have had a breakout here. It has been very strong since December, actually beginning of December. So this one here looks bullish at the moment. So I'm looking for price to move up higher into this 73.92 area, or 7400. So this is bullish. So in this case, we could see a pullback into the high here, and then a further move to the upside. So 73.92 would be the target to the upside for this one. So looking, New Zealand US dollar is looking bullish. Dollar CAD here, we have a pin bar. So looking for further move to the downside. The bias is to the downside here. And the target would be 1.2360 level right down here. So looking for price to drop. This is where we are. We could see a pullback into this pivot and then another drop. So overall, though, bias still remains to the downside. Euro Swiss franc, very small move, really little bit of a pullback, looking for a further pullback. And the target here is 1.1725 level. So just looking for price to come down and then bounce off of that level. But the bias it's a very neutral sort of day, didn't really do much. Small close to the downside, so looking for a bit more of a further pullback. This one here looks like we are rejecting the high here we have a bearish close for the day. It is not an engulfing candle. So overall, the bias is still to the upside, but I'm looking for a further pullback in this. So in this case, the target would be 1.3350 level. So looking for a drop there. And this is where we will see how the price will react. So in terms of the move, we could see one of these moves, and then it may bounce off of that if this support is very strong. So for now, just looking for a pullback. Dollar Swiss franc, this is quite bearish, big candle close here. So looking for price to drop. The target is 95.30, 0.9530. And below that, we are looking at 95.05, so about 9,500 level. Right now, it is bearish, so it looks like it wants to get pushed lower. So that is bearish. Pound CAD, nice pin bar here. So for this one, this is something that I would like to keep an eye on. So we could see price do one of these. So I'd be looking for a reaction at this previous pin here. So this to the left, because a lot of times price will go and test that level once again and then drop from there. So that will be an interesting place to keep an eye on. But right now, the same way we saw with pound Swiss franc, with this one as well, we have come and tested the high and prices dropped from there. So with this one, I'm looking for a further move to the downside. First target would be 1.7340. And the second target is 1.7280 level. So those are the two targets to the downside, but I do like the pin on this. So this is pound CAD is definitely, we need to keep that on our radar. This one here, we do have a bearish close for the day. So I'm looking for price to drop a bit further and target here 153.20 level, so which is the bottom of this pin. But we do have this this pin as well that makes it a little, gives it a bit more neutral bias. So bearish to neutral is the bias here. So I'm looking for price to come back into 153.20 level. But I would be cautious of the pin, which basically suggests that the buyer stepped in. So we'll have to pay attention to that, and we'll have to see how it sets up. Euro yen here. Euro yen, again, same thing here. This is bearish, but we do have this pin here, which gives it a bit of a neutral bias. But because the price hasn't been able to break the high, I'm looking for price to drop further here. First target will be 1.3495. And then the second target looks like 1.3450, 134.50. So those will be the two targets to the downside. So this is the support or the resistance turned support that I would be looking for. But 134.95, 135.00 will be the first level to keep an eye on, because if it cannot break this level, then we are looking for price to move up higher. So for now, though, bias is to the downside, bearish to neutral. Aussie yen here. Aussie had probably one of the best closes in terms of our yen crosses here. We had a good big resistance here for a number of days. Price could not break it, tested that several times, and then dropped. So now I am looking for a further move to the downside. First target will be the bottom here, 87.88 level. And then I am looking for price to drop further. Once it crosses that, 87.20 level will be the next target to the downside. But it looks like finally it's made that double top. And now we could see a reaction to the downside. So in this case, it would be nice if we can see the price push up into here, which is also our previous resistance level, and then do a drop. And hence 87.80. 88 or 87.80 area would be, or even the 70 area, which is our S1 and lines up with this previous support and resistance area, that could be a good target. And then we could see a further drop like that. That's the type of move I would be looking for this. But of course, we have to wait for the setup and see how things go. Dollar yen, another nice close for the day here, but we are into support. So we do need to see a break of this support. But once the support breaks, I'm looking for a further move to the downside. The bias is bearish based on the daily candle close, and the target would be 109.50 level and right into this pin here. So looking for that to drop. CAD yen, this looks more like the euro here. We have bearish to neutral and looking for price to drop further. The next target would be 88.0. All right, so that's all I have. Any questions or anything to add? All right, so that's it. We will meet again at 3 a.m. Eastern, again at the start of the London session. We may have to consider starting a little bit sooner, but so I'm going to try today, or we'll try for this week at starting the London. So we are trading the London Open right now, but I'm thinking we may have to push that up to Euro Open, because what I'm finding right now is that part of the move has happened at the Euro Open, and then we're kind of stuck with half the move, so we're not capturing the entire move from the beginning. So we'll see how that goes. We'll go with 3 a.m. Eastern for this week, and we will evaluate at the end of the week and see how it goes based on our trading results. So that's it. You guys have a wonderful evening, night, and I will see you bright and early in the morning then. Bye for now.